So let's rewind the clock back to the season 2020-2021.
No one cares.
Thomas Tuchel took over
Tuchel has been appointed
and won the Champions League with Chelsea after the sacking of Frank Lampard. To imagine at that time when Chelsea once again were the kings of Europe, that one day in the near future the club will change forever.
To be honest, right now I give a fuck on that. We won the fucking Champions League.
So where did the money come from? Roman Abramovich made his billions when Russia was the Wild East.
The owner, Roman Abramovich, was forced to sell Chelsea after 19 years in charge on May the 30th, 2022 due to the Ukrainian war.
It comes from Russia, doesn't it? And whatever he does over there.
That marked a huge change for Chelsea Football Club, as the previous owner, Roman Abramovich, built up the whole modern future and the whole modern infrastructure of the club. Roman Abramovich had took Chelsea from nothing to being one of the best clubs in Europe and in England. A consortium with the lead of Todd Boehly bought Chelsea for 4.2 million. One of the first major changes that Boehly and Clear Lake Capital decided to do was to sack the manager Thomas Tuchel after only 6 games in charge at the 2022 season. And that will not be the first manager that Chelsea under Todd Boehly and Clear Lake Capital decides to sack. Going back to Thomas Tuchel. Under the summer of 2022, Boehly's first summer in charge, Chelsea decided to go big and try and trust Thomas Tuchel. The marquee signing of Raheem Sterling from Manchester City, the centre-back Kalidou Koulibaly and Marc Cucurella, Wesley Fofana and others came in for ridiculous fees. The owners went for a risky move to appoint new manager Graham Potter from Brighton. It was an exciting manager who took Brighton very far up the league with exciting possession-based football. And many were excited to see Graham Potter in a big club like Chelsea.
The challenge and always the reason to go there was a sporting challenge to try to compete for major trophies. If you look at Chelsea in the last 25 years or whatever, they've been as successful as any team.
Many argued during Potter's time that he lacked charisma, he lacked the tactics and he lacked the character to be at a big club like Chelsea, and it never really worked out. Potter had challenges keeping the team happy with a lot of new players to his disposal. Chelsea decided to go big again for January 2023 under Graham Potter to really back him and give him a lot of players. Enzo Fernandez, the World Cup winning centre mid, came in from Benfica for over 100 million and a world record fee for Chelsea. And they also signed Mykhailo Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk after a brilliant Champions League performance and run for him for over 80 million. Potter had a disappointing form in the Premier League. He took over when Chelsea was 6th and he made them slip all the way down to 11th position. He did a decent job in Europe, but the owners couldn't let him carry on like this. In the Premier League, he managed 22 games, 7 wins, 7 draws, 8 losses and a points per game ratio of 1.24. Chelsea had a lot of lows under Graham Potter. One was the 1-0 loss against bottom of the league Southampton. The fans were unsure about Clear Lake and Boehly's transfer strategy. It obviously hadn't worked out and the managers couldn't get the best out of a big squad with a lot of names on it. It wasn't only in the pitch and the transfers that Chelsea were failing. Boehly and Clear Lake had decided to get rid of a lot of the stability that Roman Abramovich provided in the club. They got new people everywhere in the boardroom and decided to hire new people everywhere, and that takes some time to really adjust to a team like Chelsea. Potter would eventually get sacked in April 2023, and in comes new manager Bruno Salazar to steady the ship for some time while Chelsea find another man for the job. Bruno Salazar was only the manager for a couple of games, while Frank Lampard took over his role and became a caretaking manager for the rest of the season.
It's a pretty easy decision for me. This is my club in terms of my playing career and having coached here before. So I have a lot of emotions and feelings towards the club.
Some fans believe that Lampard could remind the players what it takes to play for Chelsea, but it didn't go well and Chelsea kept on struggling as they had for the whole season. Lampard only managed for the 9 remaining games of the season, but there was only 1 win and 1 draw and 7 losses as Chelsea ended up 12th in the league. Chelsea had talks with a lot of managers for the new project. The 2 favorites was Luis Enrique and Maurizio Pochettino, who had been the former Tottenham manager. Pochettino took the job on July the 1st, 2023, ahead of the 23-24 season. And here is when Chelsea really did a drastic change in the squad. Chelsea started to offload a lot of players, and players like Edouard Mendy, Kai Havertz, Azpilicueta, Mateo Kovacic, N'Golo Kante and others left the club. Another huge transfer was the selling of Mason Mount academy product to Manchester United to balance the books out a bit on the economy side for Chelsea. But all this was for Chelsea to spend a lot. Chelsea spent over 400 million on young, exciting players with a new transfer strategy from Boehly and Clearlake to try to sign young players and develop them and sell them for big profit in the future. People started to make fun of Chelsea. Nkunku, Caicedo, Disasi, Sanchez, Jackson and Lavia. They basically signed about 100 players. But the big one was Cole Palmer, who would carry Pochettino during this season and is now one of the best players in the Premier League and maybe even in the world. Pochettino had a hard start, but he slowly built something at Chelsea. The players were getting more used to playing for Chelsea and the role seemed a bit more straightforward. Pochettino, faced with the same challenges to balance out a big squad with a lot of crucial and important players who couldn't play every time. He guided, after a tough start, Chelsea to a 6th place in the Premier League. He also took them to a final in the Carabao Cup, which they would lose to a Liverpool. Pochettino had took over at one of the lowest points in Chelsea's recent history and had taken them back to Europe. But we didn't really know what the owners had planned, and I don't think they knew it either. Boehly and Clearlake, who owned the consortium, started to argue about the next plan for Chelsea. Boehly wanted to keep Pochettino after securing a 6th place and European football, but the majority owner in Clearlake wanted him gone. At the time, most people were shocked after the season ended and Pochettino were sacked.
Sacked Maurizio Pochettino.
The new transfer strategy of buying young players and developing them weren't the same for the manager, because the manager didn't get that time. The players were on long contracts and Chelsea needed better performance to get more money in. There were also rumors that Pochettino and the owners had been arguing. Pochettino didn't want to sell players like Gallagher, but the owners needed to sell him to make a profit and to make money for new signings and to cover up the old signings that I had spent so much money on. So now, jumping to this season, Enzo Maresca is the new head coach after the sacking of Pochettino, and the owners keep on spending big on young and promising players. Finally, the transfer strategy seems to be working a bit better, and some of the players are actually starting to perform to their value. Say what you want about Chelsea's owner strategy to get players 8-year contracts, to sign them for ridiculous fees, but it's starting to work out a little bit better, and the scouting is also going in the right direction. So what caused Chelsea to go from the Champions League winners to being a mid-table team? The lack of consistency, the owner change, and the whole reconstruction of the football club. To go from a football club that buys proven players, world-class players, to buying young players and develop them. Heavy investments that could pay off in the future, but could also be devastating, because let's face it, a lot of the players at Chelsea right now have long contracts, and we are not sure if they're going to perform at the level they are at this moment right now for some years. So let's all wait and see, and hopefully Chelsea won't get a transfer ban. A lot of people that watch this video that aren't Chelsea fans, they probably want us to get get a transfer ban, but hopefully not, and we will see what the future brings. At least it's exciting to watch Chelsea, and there's never a boring time to be a Chelsea fan. Something always happens, whether it's bad or good. It depends. But thank you all for watching this. Consider to subscribe and like this video. See you all. Bye.